Broncos Country, I'm sure you've heard the news and some rumors out there that Von Miller is eyeing a return to Mile High. So if you want Von to come back to the Broncos, go ahead and like today's video. I'll be exploring this idea among other Broncos rumors coming up on today's show. But first, hit that thumbs up icon. What's going on, Broncos fans? Coming up on today's show, we're going to look at a possible return for Von Miller to the Denver Broncos after he put out some juicy stuff on his Twitter and his Instagram. And then we'll look at some possible quarterback plays here. Maybe the Broncos are interested in the former second overall pick from the Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky, because if they swing and miss on Rodgers, who, by the way, it's a little late to give us his decision, but we should be expecting it almost any minute/hour at this point. And then finally, we'll wrap up the show by looking at some combine winners and losers with Broncos lenses on for their respective draft targets. First things first, though, is Von Miller eyeing a return to Mile High? Well, I've been talking about this, and you guys have actually asked me about it in a couple of mailbag videos for quite some time now. You can honestly go back to the day he got traded, right? It was Von Miller's being traded for a second and a third. He's going to be a free agent. I wonder if he gets traded and then in free agency comes back to the Broncos with those draft picks and a Super Bowl ring, and maybe he helps the Broncos win the next Super Bowl. But Dov Kleiman, who before I dive into his tweet, I just want to put this out there. What does he do for a living? I would love to know. That is like one of the, Amelia Earhart behind Dov Kleiman. I want to know what he does to actually make money. But Von Miller is expected to decide between staying with the Rams or sign with the Chargers, Packers, or returning to the Broncos. He posted this on IG. We'll go to his Instagram in just a moment. But first, how about the horse's mouth himself? Von Miller saying, I kind of want that old thing back. 5280. 5,280 feet above sea level, a.k.a. Mile High. And so this is what he posted on Instagram. A little hard to see here, but producer Marks, maybe you can, there's a little bubble there, some text on it. Zoom in on that there. And there it says, I kind of want I wonder if they'll let me have my old locker back. Dude, that thing better have not been touched after you left. Who's going to be the guy? I think Kenny Young was like, can I have this locker? Is it open? Great, I'll take it. No, Von, no one took your locker after you left. Don't worry about that. But that wasn't the only thing he put on his Instagram story. He also put this, 58 or 40 in blue and orange, in Broncos navy and orange. Love to see it. He's already asking which jersey should I wear when I come back with my Super Bowl ring. And we're going to win back-to-back Super Bowls, by the way. And should I rep my old jersey or my new jersey? So with that in mind, let's have you guys get involved. Help Von decide what jersey he should wear next season for the Broncos. We're going to talk it into existence. And I'll give you my take on it too. But what number should you wear? 40 or 58? We're having a little fun right now because you know what? It's the middle of the offseason, and we haven't hit any big free agency stuff just yet, so we'll keep it light here on the channel. However, maybe we should ask this question too, a little more serious note here. Do you want Von Miller to come back to the Broncos? Right? Before we start handing out jerseys to him, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. I think we should all unanimously put yes, but I will say there is a tiny stipulation for the no. And for me, it comes down to this. If there's a quarterback in Denver that can help them win playoff games, hell yeah, bring him back, right? There's no debate about it. He is one of the best Broncos players in franchise history. He's one of the best edge rushers. And look at what he did in the playoffs for the Rams, help him win a Super Bowl. Yeah, I think he's still got plenty left in the tank. Maybe like a J.J. Watt kind of contract, a 2-year deal so he can retire as a Bronco. But I don't want to give him a ton of money if Drew Lock or a rookie quarterback is going to be under center. Because then it's a little bit like last year, where we didn't improve at the most important position, the quarterback spot, and we're going to bring Von Miller back for a lot more money. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. I'd rather allocate that money elsewhere if we don't have the quarterback position figured out. But if we get Rodgers, or we get a big-name guy like that, bring Von, and then it's pretty simple. Plan the parade route, right? We can just skip to that. We can skip over the whole 22 season. Where are we going? All right, next up, though. Do the Broncos have interest in Mitch Trubisky? So the NFL Combine just wrapped up. And the NFL Combine is notorious for all the GMs, the execs, and the coaches getting together and exchanging notes and gossiping and talking at the bar afterwards and talking about kind of off-the-record stuff and feeding some nuggets to the beat boys that follow them out to Indy. So there's an interesting idea of signing Mitch Trubisky if the Broncos don't get their number one target. We'll talk about that more in detail in just a second, but I need your guys' help. Here at Chat Sports, we allocate studio time based on how many subscribers you have. And we have some work to do. So hit that big red button. Help me pay my rent by getting me more studio time to get more free content out to you guys. That's right. This is absolutely free. There's no wall you have to get past or do like incognito mode to get around. Absolutely free. No paywall. That's what I'm looking for. So hit that big red button. Subscribe. Help me, keep the lights on at my nice little apartment. All right, going back to the Mitch Trubisky topic and conversation. So there's some rumors and some reports out there that maybe the Broncos are interested in signing the former second overall pick who's kind of been rehabbing in Buffalo this past season. Coming from ESPN, Jeremy Fowler teaming up with Dan Grazzino putting this out. Teams are openly discussing whether Trubisky gets $10 million or more annually on a new deal. That his name is a hot one and his hot one is not manufactured. It's real. His career reset in Buffalo went very well, and teams that will look to draft a quarterback could sign Trubisky to start this year. A Trubisky pairing with a first-round quarterback such as Malik Willis wouldn't shock a few teams. The Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, Giants, and potential Broncos are believed to be in the mix here. Well, let's look what Trubisky did in his last time actually playing meaningful football in 2020 for the Bears, where him and Nick Foles kind of shared reps for a little bit. He made 10 appearances. 67% completion percentage, threw for just over 2,000 yards, and an average 16 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That's not very compelling. That does not make you jump out and go sign this guy to a $10 million deal. But I'll tell you why I think he's getting that kind of talk and rumors around him in just a second. But first, let me hear what you have to say. Should the Broncos sign Trubisky? Give me an S for sign or a P for pass. I want you guys to be a part of the show just as much as I am, so voice your opinion down below in the comment section. I think it comes down to just timing for Trubisky. He's hitting free agency when the NFL draft class, specifically at the quarterback position, is pretty awful. Honestly, I don't think any of these guys would have been first-round picks a season ago. And so I think he's just leveraging that to get himself back into a starting mix where he goes, what are you going to do? Draft Matt Corral? I'll tell you this right now. I'm a better quarterback than Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, or Carson Strong. It's such a weak quarterback draft class this year that names like Trubisky are flying up, like Marcus Mariota, who's thrown like 10 passes in the last 2 years, are all of a sudden getting a ton of interest because it's better than drafting one of these rookie quarterbacks who a lot of people don't have much belief in beyond Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett. Speaking of the NFL draft, we'll get to the combine notes in just a second, but St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner, so if you want to rep some green, but also support your favorite team, the Denver Broncos, then go ahead and get started with some awesome gear they have at chatsports.com/BroncosGreen. That link is in the comments and the description of today's video. What is it? It's over 10 days away at this point, so rep some awesome green. Don't get pinched and get a little bit of an Irish flu the day after by wearing some dope Broncos gear. That link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Now let's move on to the NFL Combine. We'll have some winners and losers and some takeaways overall. I'm not looking at this from like an NFL perspective, but just what the Broncos' biggest needs are in the draft. So just looking at those positions and the winners and losers from that group. So first, winners. Malik Willis was a big winner. He showed off his arm talent, and he just let it loose. And this happens a lot. I remember last year and a couple years ago, Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson both had great both had great combines because they let it loose / pro days. Desmond Ridder also, his biggest knock was inconsistency. Well, he looked pretty consistent at the combine. So Denver, if they're looking for a quarterback, well, we know they are. If they're looking to get one in the draft at least, those are two names that did very well. Then you have Jordan Davis, who weighs over 300 pounds and is 6'6" and ran a 4.78 40. No one over 300 pounds has ever had that fast of a 40 times since 2006. It is believed to be, across the board, one of the most impressive 40 times ever. He's a massive guy. And so the Broncos want to reach on a defensive tackle. Even though they don't necessarily need one, you can't say winners of the Combine without mentioning Jordan Davis. Ahmad Gardner out of Cincinnati, looking like a top 10 pick now. He was already rumored to be the number 1 corner. Maybe they want to make a 1-2 punch between Surtain and Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Then you've got Travon Walker, the edge out of Georgia. We know Denver needs an edge, and Walker talked himself into a first-round pick with having a phenomenal combine. For me, the biggest winners, though, were Gardner and Davis, because Davis was just unbelievable. And you just Google his name, and he literally got himself an extra couple $1 million because he moved that much further up in the draft. And the earlier you picked, the bigger guaranteed money you get on your rookie deal. And I wasn't really in on drafting a corner when you just drafted one last year, the number 9 pick. But how nasty would it be if we got Ahmad Sauce Gardner, the number 1 corner in this class, and the number 1 corner, in my opinion, last year with PS2? That'd be a pretty good duo right there for Denver, who has to play Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes 4 times a year, and then Derek Carr, who I guess isn't that bad. Now for the losers at the Combine. Matt Corral, he just couldn't participate. He's still coming off that ankle injury he suffered in the bowl game, and that just sucks for him. And he just needs to he needs to improve his stock. And by not playing, he's not improving it, but he's not moving forward. Then Myjai Sanders, I felt bad for him. I think he had a stomach flu. He lost like 15 pounds between the Senior Bowl and the Combine. So I guess he's not really a loser because he battled and he went through and he got out there. But he's not, he didn't help himself out during the Combine. Devin Lloyd just had a bit of an underwhelming 40 time. And I still think he's a phenomenal pick, and I would love for the Broncos to end up with him. But he was not someone that, blew people away with his speed at the Combine. George Karlaftis, just a coward, didn't run the 40. Would like to have seen his speed because I think he has the strength, but the speed's always been the question mark. And Derek Stingley, who's also coming off a bad injury in his senior year, or his final year at LSU. He did not do much at the Combine, so just didn't see enough out of him, and maybe he's slipping in the draft because of that. Speaking of the NFL draft, who is your top draft target for the Broncos, right? Like, who is the number 1 player on your big board that you think is can't miss, get it happen, make it happen, bring him to Mile High? I personally still lean going at the edge or just Devin Lloyd at number 9. Now, if the Broncos don't get a quarterback, that will change things. Or if they do get a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, well, they don't have the number 9 overall pick. But if they do, I just don't like Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett enough. I think we're talking them into existence in the first round. I think Malik Willis has some great potential and huge upside, but it's just a little too early for me to pick him at number 9. Hot take right there. But I like any of the edges pretty much, or Devin Lloyd as one of the best future cornerstone linebackers a team could ask for in the NFL draft this year. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll catch you guys later here on the Broncos Breakdown.